Okay, so I just finished dropping 5 back-to-back what if movies and I needed a break, y'all. So also noticing that I hadn't dropped the Naruto video in quite some time, I decided, alright, let's just drop a Naruto part 1. So seeing as I luckily ended up getting a commission, y'all are getting a remastered and way better version of Grim Reaper Naruto. That said, if you guys go on to smash the like button somehow, you guys break like 2,000 likes on this video, I'll drop the whole what if movie by tomorrow. I promise y'all. But yeah, with no further ado, good luck and enjoy. Alright, so this feels kind of weird. It's been a bit longer than I would like that I've recorded a Naruto video, and so now that I'm doing it, I don't know, I just feel a bit strange. I've been focusing way too much on My Hero lately, and that has a lot to do with the fact that I've just been getting commission after commission for My Hero vids, which, hey, I'm not complaining about, but I know some of you guys have been dying for Naruto What If. So here's this one. An idea that I came up with the other day, and funny enough, was then actually commissioned by someone, which was just incredible for me, which meant that I get to do the idea I actually already kind of wanted to do, and my boy gets an incredible commission. So yeah, I mean, 2 birds with 1 stone. And the idea, I mean, obviously you've seen the thumbnail, you've seen the title. It's like a Grim Reaper Naruto kind of, but the concept that I mostly wanted to go with was following kind of a Bleach type of storytelling, because I won't lie to you guys, I've seen like the first 4 episodes of Bleach, but that's it, right? So I don't know too much about Bankais or all the crazy stuff that comes with it, but I wanted to take similar concepts from that story and apply it here, in the sense that Naruto's going to be operating with the Death Reaper's powers due to some changes that are obviously going to be happening with the seal. So honestly, I have no real like non-contrived version to make this work. This is very, very fanficky, but essentially what I want to have happen is that when the Soul Reaper is in the process of, well, sealing the Nine Tails within Naruto in exchange for Minato's life, the Soul Reaper will essentially look at the baby Naruto and have an idea pop into its head. It would think, what would happen if I took over a mortal body? Having been, you know, the Soul Reaper for so many eons, it pretty much decides to do just that. And so, in the moment of sealing the Nine Tails, the Death Reaper would also seal itself within the cage. Or maybe not the cage, but like in some aspect he would seal himself into Naruto, like his essence, where the way that everything is going to be working is that the Soul Reaper could take control of Naruto's body whenever he goes into a very, very riled up state, which I think was going to be kind of how we're going to be using it. And when Naruto goes into that state, not only does Naruto like obviously get a power amp, but I want him to have like a Shikigami mask, like that of the Death Reaper, where he has like a really cool mask, kind of similar to the one that Orochimaru wore when he summoned obviously the previous Hokage, but a bit cooler looking and purple in color. And he's also going to be having like a cool little scythe tool, just because who's ever heard of a Grim Reaper without a scythe? So yeah, let's begin our story. I think a good spot to start everything off would possibly be the Land of the Waves mission, because prior to that, there's nothing in the story that would make sense for Naruto to awaken a power up like this. So while Naruto would be within the Ice Mirror Jutsu of Haku, and he and Sasuke would be attempting everything to break out, Naruto spamming Shadow Clone, Sasuke dodging via his Sharingan, this is when suddenly, as Naruto would stay still, Sasuke would cry out, "Naruto!" as he would lunge into the way, pushing Naruto out, and suddenly Sasuke would be skewered by a multitude of senbons. As Naruto would look back, he would feel a mixture of hatred, rage, and sadness, and all of these feelings would perfectly coincide with the conditions that the Reaper needs to take over. So in that moment, Naruto would pass out, slightly slumping to the ground before suddenly standing back up, and everybody would take note. The chakra signal coming off of Naruto in this moment would be bizarre, and this is only Naruto accessing about 20% of the 20% is way too much. I feel like that could straight up kill him. 10% of the Grim Reaper's power. which mind you, would easily be enough to destroy Haku, Kakashi, and Zabuza all where they're standing. However, due to Naruto's limited factor of his young body, this would leave the Grim Reaper with limited options as to what to do. So, as a creepy smile would form underneath the mask that would have appeared, the Grim Reaper clamping onto the scythe, feeling the strength of this mortal body, but also the limitations, would take one step. This step would literally shatter Naruto's leg. Like, you know how Deku does whenever he uses One for All? That's literally what happens. As yielding the scythe, he would slash at Haku, cutting him in half. Haku's body falling limp to the ground as blood would splatter on the mask, and almost instantaneously after having landed that blow, Naruto would fall flat unconscious on the ground. Zabuza and Kakashi both staring, with the hairs on the back of their necks having practically lifted up. It's at this point that we would see what would have happened to Haku's soul, seeing as he was killed by a Grim Reaper, and it would be revealed that it was taken into the cage of Kurama. With the ramifications of this action not being shown, mostly due to the fact that I still haven't fully figured out the kinks and tinks that I want for this. Just because, if I'm being real, this video is 100% unscripted, and honestly, I think I'm just gonna have more fun with it like that. So yeah. But anyways, moving on, what would take place after this would happen is that Kakashi, having captured Zabuza within his dog jutsu, would quickly slay Zabuza in this timeline, with Kakashi being the only last line of defense against Gato's men. But remember, Kakashi was extremely drained, and even though Zabuza did take out a majority of Gato's men, if not all of them, it literally cost him his life, which means that for them to actually survive in this timeline, Kakashi would low-key have to do the same. That is, if it weren't for the actual villagers of the town coming to aid Kakashi. I feel like this would be just enough for Gato to push back and leave the area, deciding that it's just not worth it anymore, and he'd rather just leave with his life. So with that being the case, the Great Naruto Bridge would once again be named just that, and after this would take place, we would then have reports being given to Hiruzen, the team then being dismissed, as Kakashi would remain in the office with Hiruzen. This is when he would go on to tell him that while on the mission, he saw something absolutely terrifying, and actually, it was the reason for Naruto's great injuries, which for some reason or another managed to heal almost perfectly, due to the Grim Reaper having used Kurama's chakra to heal him just before his essence had fully disappeared, meaning that instead of having shattered leg, Naruto would have had a bruised leg instead. Which obviously would still leave Naruto to like literally hobbling around and kind of like walking kind of funny, but hey, it's better than having your freaking leg shattered, which mind you, threatened to actually destroy Rock Lee's career as a ninja. But I digress. Hiruzen would then ask Kakashi what that was, and this is when Kakashi would go on to explain that somewhere during the battle between Naruto, Sasuke, and Haku, Naruto ended up losing his sense of self and seemed to be replaced by the actual Grim Reaper himself. Hiruzen would dang near get out of his chair at hearing that, saying, "Are you sure?" To which Kakashi would nod, explaining to Hiruzen the sensation that he felt, the ominous aura of literal death. And how in the moment that Naruto landed that strike on Haku, there was no noise, there was no last words, there was nothing. Just immediate death. Hiruzen hearing that would then look out the window, asking him what he looked like. Kakashi telling him that that was actually the thing that confirmed his suspicions, explaining to Hiruzen that in the moment that Naruto transformed, he thinks he saw Naruto having a mask and a scythe. Two things that managed to appear out of thin air. So with Hiruzen having access to the actual Reaper Death Seal jutsu and understanding the functionalities of it, he would tell Kakashi to keep a close eye on Naruto, saying that they must figure out why it was that happened in that moment, and if there's anything they can do to prevent this from continuing forward. So as Kakashi would bow and exit the room, Hiruzen would just be flooded with thoughts. Minato, you didn't use that jutsu to seal the nine tails within your son, did you? He would think, wondering if that could have been the catalyst for the Reaper to have taken over. But as Hiruzen would think this, he would shake his head, saying that there's no way Minato could have done that, as he would proceed to have a worried expression before sitting down and thinking to himself that if worse comes to worse, they may need to put down the boy in order to stop the Reaper from fully manifesting, if something like that is the case. And so, this is when we would jump cut to Naruto, who would be in his room practically screaming, "Ah! How in the world did I injure my leg? And why is nobody telling me what happened? When I asked Kakashi if he saw anything, he says that he was busy fighting Zabuza. And when I asked Sakura about it, she has a scared look on her face. I don't get what's going on here," Naruto would say, since keep in mind, this is literally OG Naruto at this point. But this is when suddenly Kakashi appearing at Naruto's door would knock. And so Naruto getting up, hobbling towards it, would ask Kakashi what's up, him telling him that he would like to have a meeting with the team, before then beginning to explain the nature of the bell test and everything that's going to be taking place in that. Naruto hearing that would say, "All right, that sounds awesome," as Sasuke would have a nonchalant smirk on his face, and Sakura's like, "Well, if Sasuke's gonna join, then I have to," looking at Naruto a bit scared, wondering if that thing was ever gonna come out again. Was that the Nine Tails? She would have suspicions, but since she doesn't know, she would just put it in the back of her head. She'll be with Sasuke after all. And so, as time would progress, eventually the team would find themselves within the walls of the Chunin exams tower. It's here that they would be searching for the room, recognizing that a Genjutsu has been placed after circling 2 times. And once they would do this, a team would approach them. Specifically, Team Guy. One member in particular saying, "My name is Rock Lee, and I wish to fight you, Sasuke Uchiha." Sasuke smirking and telling him that there's no way he's gonna do that, before Rock Lee would completely change his tune and ask Sakura to practically marry him. Or not marry him, actually, what he says in the original is, "Be my girlfriend," with a thumbs up and like a wink, but she's like, "Ew, no, you're disgusting." Which, bro, that's just crazy, bro. Like that reminds me of, you know, those little things where it's like the worst she can say is no. That's literally what it makes me think about when I remember that scene. But anyways, once Rock Lee's heart would be absolutely shattered to a million pieces, he would face off against Sasuke, resulting in the same stuff as usual, as we would then move on to the written section of the exam, which obviously, because Naruto still isn't aware of his powers, would not change at all, and we would then get into the Forest of Death part, where we're actually going to be jumping straight to the meat of the action, which is once Orochimaru would show up, and Naruto would manage to free himself from the snake via the Shadow Clone Jutsu. As Naruto would rush towards his team, this is when Naruto would watch Sasuke bleeding from his leg, all the while being locked in combat with Orochimaru, or a woman in his eyes, due to the fact that he's still not aware who this ninja is. Rushing towards Sasuke to help, Naruto would be flung away by one of Orochimaru's jutsus, which would piss the boy off enough to actually lead him to access the power of the Nine Tails, and not the Reaper. Reasoning for this is because there's 2 caveats for Naruto to actually tap into that power. Number 1, Naruto needs to be feeling immense hatred and a desire to kill. And number 2, Naruto needs to feel a crazy amount of sorrow and sadness, seeing as that comes with death. You get sad, you're angry, and those emotions that are typically around whenever you lose somebody are the things that trigger this transformation. So as Naruto's Nine Tails power would be going crazy, and he tells Sasuke, "What? You scared? Scaredy cat?" Going on a fight against Orochimaru, doing way better than Sasuke ever could. This is when Orochimaru would send Naruto flying into a tree, before then extending his neck towards Sasuke, chomping down on him and saying, "Well, I'd be lying if I said this wasn't entertaining. I've got other things to do, Sasuke. Make sure you survive," before the man would attempt to leave. However, this is when a chilling presence would enter the area, due to Naruto's extreme rush of emotions in that moment, at seeing Sasuke fall from literally like 20 feet into the air and just not move at all. Naruto would be enraged and would truly experience the same emotions that he thought he felt when he thought Sasuke died. So, as the Reaper would take over and the mask would appear, this time in a half-in state due to Naruto's current emotions, this is when he would rush towards Orochimaru, screaming out, "How dare you kill Sasuke!" 2 voices ringing out in that moment, the one of Naruto and a very sinister voice, which would be grasping onto a scythe, instantly slashing at the direction of Orochimaru Orochimaru, him barely managing to avoid the scythe, shocked at the speed and strength before lunging backwards and shooting a snake attack at Naruto. Naruto disappearing in an instant, with Orochimaru turning around to hear the creaking sounds of Naruto's legs as Naruto would squeeze onto his scythe, blood beginning to come out of his fingers, half of his face in tears while the other half would look evil and menacing. He would swipe at his scythe once again, Orochimaru's clothes and hair having been cut in that moment, as he would weave the hand signs for a gigantic fireball jutsu. This ball of flames would fly at Naruto as Naruto slashes into the air, completely destroying the jutsu where it stands, before then suddenly using both legs to lunge at Orochimaru, each of them breaking in that moment, Naruto crying out, "Ah!" as squeezing onto the scythe even harder than before, the mask now fully covering Naruto's face due to his desire to kill this person. The influence of the Reaper growing stronger, Naruto would slash at the air, Orochimaru actually using an incredibly massive, gigantic wall. You remember the one that he used to literally dodge the point blank tailed beast bomb? That would pop up, but Naruto, completely negating the jutsu itself, would slice through that thing as though it was butter. Orochimaru being nicked by the blade of the scythe, with Naruto and Orochimaru now in a clear power struggle. Orochimaru could now see the visible image of the Reaper behind Naruto with a smile on his face, as it would use all of the strength within Naruto's body to start tugging at the soul of Orochimaru. Orochimaru in this moment would cry out, "What? The Reaper!" And from a mere child, no less. He would fight back, screaming out, "What is a child doing with a jutsu this strong?" All the while pulling all of his physical will to stop his soul from being ripped out of his body. The Soul Reaper would have already dragged out his arms, with Orochimaru literally starting to beg for mercy, understanding that there's no such jutsu that could save him in this moment of peril. So, as he stares at the Reaper's smile, which would be appearing since he was about to consume his soul, this is when suddenly its smile would turn into a dissatisfied look. Orochimaru staring as the Grim Reaper would suddenly fade, and Orochimaru's arms being the only thing that were taken from him in that moment, he would instantly just disappear, watching the body of Naruto fall limp to the ground, unwilling to take the chance that the Reaper could come back out. So with Naruto's unconscious body now falling from the tree stump they were having a battle for, this is when Orochimaru would take his chance to escape. Sakura going over towards the body of Naruto and understanding that not only does she have Sasuke out of it completely, but now even Naruto. This would lead Sakura to taking care of both of her teammates for the foreseeable few hours, as eventually the Sound Genin would roll up on Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, leading to the same altercation that we get in the original, because keep in mind, there's gonna be no influence from the Reaper during this scene, meaning that the team would report back to Kakashi, Sasuke would eventually have his curse mark sealed inside of him, and we would then have Sakura telling Kakashi what she witnessed, that Naruto had faced off against a ninja with white pale skin, purple eyes, and she thinks won. She would describe in detail how that man used an incredible amount of jutsu, speed, and just different techniques that she had never expected out of a genin. Before then saying that that wasn't the worst of it, saying that Naruto once again transformed into something that even made that guy terrified, and had him running for the hills at the first moment he could. Kakashi hearing this would nod his head, understanding that clearly the Reaper had come back out, and as Kakashi would think about this, he would realize that that was a good thing too, because the person that she seems to be describing is none other than Orochimaru. And in that moment, Kakashi could only be grateful that Naruto actually tapped into some strange power, because that's the only reason they're still alive, he would believe. With this information being given to them, this is when they would all eventually partake in the 1v1 battles, with there actually being a significant change in Naruto's first fight, considering the fact that Naruto having gone Reaper mode all those times would eventually have led Naruto to have kept some sort of muscle memory from the movements of the Reaper itself. So due to that, this would make Naruto at the bare minimum 2 times faster once his body would sort of heal for this fight. And so with Naruto stepping in the ring with Kiba, Kiba would say, "Check it out, Akamaru, guess we got lucky. We're for sure moving on to the next round if we got against Naruto." Naruto looking at Kiba with an angry expression as the proctor would begin the match, and in an instant, Naruto moving at speeds way faster than what he was ever used to before, he would lunge the direction of Kiba, shocking him, "What, Naruto?" before landing a punch square to his face and sending him flying backwards, tumbling on the ground, leaving Hakamaru to attempt to bark and then lunge at Naruto to try to bite onto his ankle. However, before that would happen, Naruto would kick him away, Kiba getting back up and asking what's the deal? When did Naruto get so damn fast? Naruto saying that he didn't, before suddenly Kiba would lunge at Naruto and Naruto would be able to dodge every blow, moving at speeds that Naruto wasn't accustomed to, but for some reason his body just felt like it was natural. And as everybody would watch, there would be a couple of people taking note of this, namely Sasuke, who would note that Naruto's moving faster than he's ever seen him before, Sakura, who's scared that that power would be coming out, and Kakashi, who would formulate a theory on whether transforming into that state has subconsciously made Naruto stronger via the process of muscle memory. So with Naruto completely outspeeding Kiba and being able to land way more blows on him that Kiba could muster, this is when Kiba would be knocked out flat on the ground, 2 Kibas unconscious, as the proctor would announce Naruto as the winner. After this would be said and done, Naruto would leap in the air going, "Yeah, I beat you, Kiba! So much for a weakling, huh?" Naruto finishing the battle off before making his way towards where the other genin were and being gifted an ointment from Hinata. Naruto would say thanks for that as he would actually immediately go on to apply it to his legs, saying, "Ah, my legs feel a million times better. Thanks so much." Hinata smiling, going, "Of course, Naruto-kun," to which Naruto would walk off and then wait for the next couple of battles. Naruto would watch the Gaara versus Lee fight in shock, being like, "He's so fast," until eventually the final battle would play out, which would be Hinata versus Neji. And when this battle would start getting to its climax and Neji would continue landing attack after attack after attack on Hinata, Naruto would get angrier and feel a sense of sadness. The fact that he was doing that to his cousin was making him feel uneasy, and as the lands would start striking, Naruto would yell out, "Why is nobody stopping the fight? He clearly won, he's gonna kill her!" That Kakashi would place his hand on Naruto's shoulder, nodding that he can't do anything. This is when the aura in the entire area would shift, as one of Naruto's eyes would turn black with a yellow accent in them, as Kakashi would realize who's about to come out, before in an instant stopping the battle, saying that Neji has done way too much damage to her and he's already won. Neji scoffing at this, accepting the win, with Hiruzen looking at Kakashi and nodding, having sensed the shift of chakra within Naruto. And with the Chunin exams coming to a close, the 1-month break would be given to all the participants who won. Naruto thinking to himself that he can't wait to start training, that he's gonna show that bully Neji a thing or two. However, as Naruto would be saying that, this is when Hiruzen would ask Naruto to be taken to his office by tapping him on the back. Naruto turning to see Hiruzen asking, "Hey old man, what's up?" Hiruzen looking at Naruto with a smile and saying that he would like to speak with him privately. And so, making their way towards Hiruzen's office, Hiruzen would proceed to signal to his Anbu guards that are keeping watch to exit the room. Naruto saying, "Whoa, I didn't even notice them." Hiruzen smiling, saying that that's the point, that they're his guards. Naruto would then ask, "So what's up, old man? You gonna give me this month's rent or what?" with a cheeky smile. Hiruzen simply just looking at Naruto, telling him that it's nothing like that, it's actually a bit more serious. Naruto locking in before Hiruzen would ask him if he's ever experienced a moment where he feels like he just blanks and suddenly someone else takes over. Naruto would ask what the heck he's talking about with a weird smile. "What do you mean someone else?" Hiruzen saying, "So he doesn't know." Naruto going, "Doesn't know what?" Hiruzen telling Naruto that effective immediately, Naruto is going to actually be training under him. Naruto staring at Hiruzen with expectant eyes going, "Wait, you mean it? I get to train with the Hokage for the next month?" Hiruzen telling him not quite, at least for the next 4 days he will, before explaining to him that he can't exactly take that much time off his Hokage duties, and explaining to Naruto that he's actually going to have someone else step in his place once he can no longer do it, by the name of Jiraiya. Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin and one of the most promising ninjas in Leaf history ever. Naruto hearing that would be excited, saying, "No way, why is he getting all this special treatment all of a sudden?" Hiruzen getting serious and sitting Naruto down, telling him that he needs to be honest and transparent with him. He would then go on to explain that within Naruto, there not only resides the power of the Nine Tails, but he and even his sensei Kakashi believe that within him resides the power of death itself. Naruto asking, what does he mean by that? Hiruzen explaining that to be more specific, the power of the Grim Reaper. Naruto being stunned, not even believing in the concept of a Grim Reaper or anything like that. But as Hiruzen would look into his eyes with a glare that's just telling him that there's no lie in his lips, Naruto would say, "You mean it?" To which Hiruzen would go on to explain that Kakashi had told them what had taken place during the battle on the bridge, that Naruto had seemingly turned into somebody else and used the scythe weapon to kill Haku. Naruto in this moment would have a look of shock on his face, saying, I didn't. I couldn't, right? To which Hiruzen, placing a hand on his shoulder, would tell him that it's okay, that it's the ninja world, and sometimes it's kill or be killed, so he doesn't blame him for that. Naruto, taking a sigh of relief but still feeling bad, would then ask if this has ever happened again. Hiruzen going on to explain that he's not too sure since he wasn't there for the second time, and this is all going off of what Sakura says, but he seemingly fought toe-to-toe with another legendary Sannin, Orochimaru, a rogue shinobi that's been doing horrible things, and currently is trying to do something, which the Leaf doesn't know, with Sasuke. Naruto in this moment would have an angered but confused look, asking what? Hiruzen explaining to him that right now his goals are uncertain, but if he had to guess, he probably wants the Uchiha's Gekkei Genkai. Naruto saying the Sharingan, right? Hiruzen nodding. It's at this point that Hiruzen would go on to explain to Naruto that due to that power that he has within him, his goal is going to be for Naruto to learn how to access that power when absolutely necessary, but most of all, he's going to learn how to actually shut it off. Because if the time ever comes where Naruto would to turn on his teammates, there's nothing anybody could do to stop him. And so with that being the case, Hiruzen would ask Naruto a simple question. How did Naruto feel when he saw Sasuke being attacked and was in that life or death situation against the Ice Ninja? Naruto would look away before explaining that in that moment, he felt rage. He felt a desire to kill Haku in retaliation for Haku having seemingly killed Sasuke in front of him, who literally threw his life away to save his. And so Hiruzen, hearing that, would say the catalyst could be anger. Naruto saying that if the catalyst was anger, then he should have transformed a multitude of times, but he didn't. Hiruzen, kind of like playing with his chin hair before looking to Naruto and saying, what other emotions did you feel? Was there sadness? Naruto nodding, saying that he felt so incredibly sad at the fact that he thought Sasuke could actually be dead. Hiruzen having everything click in his mind as he would say, that's it. That has to be it. Anger, sadness, sorrow. Those are the emotions that one would typically find at a funeral. The emotions linked with death. Hiruzen in this moment would tell Naruto that he knows what it is, before advising Naruto to control himself and his emotions. This is when Hiruzen would go on to teach Naruto a bit of jutsu, help him clean up his taijutsu, and that would pretty much be it considering the time constraints. Eventually, Hiruzen, during the final day that he would have with Naruto, he would eventually call all of the Anbu at his disposal, informing them all that what they're actually about to do could be the most dangerous missions in their entire Anbu careers. Them all nodding and pledging their allegiance to the Hokage, saying that they'd be willing to throw their lives away for any mission he would give them. Hiruzen nodding before telling Naruto to close his eyes. This is when Hiruzen would propose a scenario in Naruto's head, to start thinking about a situation in which Sakura, Kakashi, and Sasuke would die. As Naruto would hear those words, his eyes would go wide, as Naruto would ask Hiruzen why, and Hiruzen would tell him to simply do it. Naruto closing his eyes, picturing the scenario vividly. Hiruzen asking him, how does that make you feel? Naruto saying, sad. To which Hiruzen would go on to tell him that that's not enough, before looking at Naruto and telling him that he needs to feel not only a conjunction of anger and sadness, but sorrow and regret. Naruto, hearing that, would attempt it, but he wouldn't be able to quite hit the emotions he needs to access the power. And this is when Hiruzen would sigh, placing Naruto under a genjutsu, tricking his mind into believing that he was once again in the forest of death, Sasuke having passed out, with the man in Orochimaru who he can create vividly, taunting Naruto and telling him that he's next. And Naruto, experiencing these emotions once again, would leave half of a mask to appear on Naruto's face, a scythe starting to materialize itself in front of Naruto, Hiruzen watching on as half of Naruto's face would turn into that of the Grim Reaper, and Hiruzen would say that they were right. This is when he would tell Naruto to calm himself, that it was just but Naruto, now being in the state of the Grim Reaper, would lunge towards one of the Anbu men, before the Reaper would suddenly have a cheeky smile on its face under the mask, stopping, giving all reins to Naruto, who now standing there, Soul Reaper mask fully activated and with the scythe in his hand, feeling the power coursing through his body as though he could slice a mountain in half just by simply waving his scythe. Naruto would ask Hiruzen if this is that power. Hiruzen looking at him and noticing that not only is he accessed the power of the Reaper, but the chakra of the Nine Tails seems to be flowing throughout him, helping him to heal the injuries his body sustaining simply from using this augmented power that isn't his. Hiruzen would think it's fascinating, telling Naruto to turn it off, which Naruto would do so, the Grim Reaper smiling within the cage that is Naruto, as it would think to himself that giving Naruto the illusion of control over his powers is the best bet he could make, because the more strength Naruto's capable of accessing via the Reaper, the more control Naruto's unknowingly giving access to death itself. So with Naruto smiling, turning to Hiruzen, this is when suddenly Jiraiya would appear. "Long time no see, sensei," Jiraiya would say, Naruto staring at the white-haired man and asking if this is his next trainer. Hiruzen nodding, with Jiraiya extending a hand out and saying, "Nice to meet you, kid. Name's Jiraiya."